González. My brain's like, Verónica speaking Spanish. It's like, my Spanish is not good, y'all. It's working. It's working Spanish for sure. So my name is Verónica González. I've been part of the working class, specifically like food sector, for almost 10 years now. I've worked at Starbucks specifically for 5. I've always worked 2 jobs. I've seen the benefit of what unions can do at other places, such as Dodger Stadium, who is, the stand workers are organized with Unite Here Local 11, and I saw the benefits that those workers had, and that knowledge paired with the organizing happening up in Buffalo inspired me to begin organizing here in Los Angeles. What I experienced as a current Starbucks worker is constant short staffing, a company that claims to be progressive and yet only got greedier and greedier as time went by. And it showed in our working conditions. As I said, labor shortages, and realistically, when you work these jobs, it's for a check. So having your hours cut is drastic and can be very damaging when you are relying on a check and live check to check. Typically, I would leave a job when it no longer benefited me, and that only serves capitalism at this point. It doesn't serve the worker. And I only learned that through organizing at Starbucks. So previous to that, my sentiment was I would leave a job because I could find something else similar in the market, aka I'll go to Coffee Bean, I'll go to Dunkin' Donuts, and they'll pay me the same, if not more, for my experience. Not that much more, probably like what, a quarter, 50 cents. Like, let's be realistic, we're not getting paid that much better elsewhere, but for workers who are just used to being abused and overworked and underpaid, a change of environment feels like so much for us when it's literally nothing. Because realistically, we run into the same issues elsewhere. Because it's a system that's not built to benefit us as workers. And that's why we're here, right? That's why we organize, because as the majority, it needs to work for us. And in the current state we're in, it definitely does not, and it's catastrophic. It's hurting us as a working class, as people in our own lives, and when I would typically hop and leave a job, what made me stay was realizing that my coworkers were still going to have this lived experience at Starbucks. They were still going to continue to be overworked and remain unheard. So I decided to join in. And it's not just a me thing, it's not just my effort, it was my entire store's effort. Everyone wanted to make the change and join the fight for better working conditions. And that looks like forming a union along with your fellow workers. My store ran its unionizing campaign last year in June, and we won in August of last year, so August of 2022. Attention? Okay. So a lot has progressed since our win. As Starbucks Workers United, we have really worked on applying pressure to a company that realistically would never pay attention to us. 300 stores. We just won our 300th store on the West Coast up in San Francisco. And while we're making great progress, we have to continue to function as a collective and fight for better for ourselves. I want to touch on something that was said earlier where we have to kind of coerce people to come to stuff. Like, no, you gotta come, for picket lines, oh, please come support. Realistically, if you're a working class person, you should be enraged by what you're experiencing. And if you're not, it's because you're not paying attention. I say that now as a very agitated Starbucks worker. I don't know who has been staying up to date with the campaign, but the ex-CEO, Howard Schultz, was threatened with subpoena to testify in front of the Help Committee in Congress. And I was lucky enough to be a part of that and, witness this man continually lie and say that Starbucks has not broken any labor laws. So there are hundreds, close to 1,000, labor complaints filed against the company for unfair labor practices, and he stood up there under oath and lied. I watched Republicans call for the investigation of the NLRB, and I realized as the working class, if we don't continue to function collectively, we're stronger together than we are alone. I think the saying is very true, divided we beg, together we bargain. I'm a little off on that, but because I watched them call for the NLRB to be investigated. Why? Because now we're putting them to work? Because now they're holding these greedy CEOs and billion-dollar corporations accountable? And one of the senators had said, he compared us to Howard Schultz's father and how we had no rights as workers. And in my head, I was instantly like, no, we have rights. The NLRA, right? Like, it's there. We have the right to organize. Like, we have so many rights as workers. But with how things are functioning right now, no, we don't. And I think that's why we're not upset. We're really not paying attention. When it comes to billion-dollar corporations, they can just pay these things away. They're firing organizers left and right, firing workers left and right. And the reason is, it costs less. That's just what it is. The company has the money to do whatever it wants at this point, and really not hurt from it. So that's why we have to collectively get together and continue. And it's not just a Starbucks thing. I think that's why it's a panel of all of us. We all share the same struggle. And that's where I am at this point. Realistically, I started as someone who just had the idea that things could get better. And now I'm like, what some would claim pretty radical. I don't think it is to think that we should be having a livable wage and treated humanely and with respect by a company that could afford to, but, just a worker. This is where I am now. So everyone has the potential to really join us as organizers. I think that's the biggest thing. Organizing is not work, right? But it's necessary. We have to. In a perfect world, an organizer would not be a thing. But that's not our reality. And, we should just be very happy to be in a room surrounded by peers and equals, because without us, things aren't going to get better. That's just true. And so, collectively we work.